Alright, hello everybody. Brad here with another video. This video will be about the Xbox One controller. We are very close to the launches of both next-gen systems, the PS4 and Xbox One. This video will be about the Xbox One controller, as I said previously. I got the Xbox One controller yesterday. Got into my local GameStop yesterday. So I picked one up, and I will be saying my impressions of the controller in this video. Alright, so let's go. Alright, so here is the Xbox One controller. Very nice looking controller. Let's put it next to the Xbox 360 controller. And as you can see, the Xbox 360 controller is very outdated in comparison. You know, a lot of modern tech devices got away from being curvy. So due to that, the Xbox 360 controller looks very outdated, since it's a very curvy controller. Even in terms of the buttons, you know, the buttons are a bit more curvy, where the buttons on the Xbox One controller are pretty flat. So let's get into the Xbox One controller, more of its differences. As I said, it's a slimmer controller in comparison to the 360 controller, and due to it being slimmer, it reminds me more of the original Xbox S controller than the 360 controller in terms of its overall feel and weight. The original Xbox S controller came out in about 2003, I believe, and that was a slimmer version of the Xbox controller. You know, a lot of people complain about the Duke controller, which was really big. So they released that in 2003, and that controller reminds me of the Xbox One controller when it comes to the slimness and the overall weight. Now, one of the biggest things I had to get used to with the Xbox One controller were the bumpers. Now let me get the Xbox 360 controller. Alright, now with the Xbox 360 controller, you could use your fingertips to click the bumpers. You know, they're very easy to click. You know, I know a lot of people use their fingertips to click the bumpers on the Xbox 360 controller. And you know, they mainly held the controller like this while they played games. On the Xbox One controller though, you can't do that. You can't use your fingertips for the bumpers, since sometimes they won't click in all the way. And I had to get used to that. So what you have to do with the Xbox One controller is put your finger down each side of the controller, and then lay your finger down, and then the bumpers become very easy to click when you hold it like that. And you know, maybe that was the way you were supposed to hold the Xbox 360 controller, but I know many people, including me, didn't hold it that way. They just use their fingertips on the bumpers. So yeah, for this one, you really have to get your fingers on each side and lay them down. But once you get used to that, it feels very comfortable. And here are the bumpers. The bumpers have new rumble motors inside them. And I obviously can't test it since the system isn't out yet. But outside of the rumble motors and the triggers are also wider in comparison to the Xbox 360 controller. And due to that, it's very easy to go from the bumpers to the triggers. Like, you just can slide your finger down, you know, get to them. So yeah, it's very easy to do that. Now the face buttons are flatter, as I said previously, but they still, you know, click easily, and they still feel good. So they mainly feel pretty much the same as they did on the 360 controller, but they're just a little bit flatter. Now, another big change when it comes to the controller is the D-pad. The D-pad isn't a disc anymore, like it was here on the Xbox 360 controller. It's now a cross. And when using a D-pad on the 360 controller, when you will press up, it will sometimes move your character to the right, since everything was connected due to it being a disc, and just made the D-pad be very hard to use for games that would, more than likely games that you would want to use a D-pad for instead of the analog stick, like fighters and 2D platformers. It was just a really bad controller in terms of the D-pad. On the Xbox One though, the D-pad is across, and due to that you get very solid direction. Like, it's, when you press down, it's down. Like, there's no more pressing down and then you feeling yourself pressing the right direction as you're pressing down. So yeah, the up, down, left and right buttons on a D-pad are very precise and clicky, unlike the Xbox 360 controller. So this D-pad, it's not the best D-pad by any means, but it is a night and day improvement from the 360 D-pad, which wasn't that hard to do since the 360 D-pad was so terrible. But this is a pretty solid D-pad. Like I said, not the best, but it's pretty solid, and I know that there will be a lot of people using this for fighters and 2D platformers. Now another change is the analog sticks. The analog sticks are smaller in comparison to the Xbox One. Now I don't know if you guys could tell that with this video, with me putting them close to each other like this, but they are smaller, and you'll definitely notice the difference when you hold the controller. But even though that's true, like, the analog sticks still feel fine. They feel really good. They're a little bit loose in comparison to the 360 controllers analog sticks, but they still feel nice, and overall they feel more precise. Like, they feel like you could move freely now, so they feel really good. And there's also this material on the analog sticks, and it kind of reminds me of the material that you would see on some of the Hot Wheel tires, like the Hot Wheel cars, like the tires, the rubber tires on those cars. Like, it reminds me of that. Like, it's kind of the same material or a similar material. And I guess that's so you could get a good grip on the analog sticks, like when your fingers become sweaty from playing hours and hours of your favorite game. But overall it's not that big of a difference, I feel, from the Xbox 360 controller. Like, it still feels the same. Like, you can't really notice it while you move around. So overall the analog sticks are still good, even though they've been changed from the 360 controller. Now another new thing are these buttons right here. I believe these buttons are called menu and view. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I'm pretty sure they're called menu and view. This is the menu button, I believe, and then this is the view button. And these buttons replace the back and start button on the 360 controller. I believe the menu button will be like for the pause in games, the pause function in games. And then this view button, I believe, will be for, I guess, seeing the Xbox interface, like for Snap and other media functions, or even just other menus within the game itself. I haven't been following up on these buttons. I don't know if there's a lot of information about what these buttons do online, even though we're very close to the Xbox One launch. But yeah, I believe that that's what these buttons do. Now the buttons are very small. They're very clicky though, but they're small. So you sometimes probably won't press them down the way you want to, but overall I don't think many people will be using these buttons that much. Now another change is the Xbox guide button. It's flat, and it's still silver, but it's flat. Now even though it's like has a silver metallic cover to it, when you press down on it, the light still comes through very easily. I don't know how that works. Microsoft must have made that with a special material or something, but it's pretty cool. So those are my impressions of the Xbox One controller. It's been said that Microsoft used millions and millions of dollars to make this controller, make it, you know, better than the Xbox 360 controller, but when you pick it up, you won't really notice that. You know, the controller feels similar, but it still feels like an improvement. So overall, that was my impressions of the Xbox One controller. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later for more next gen videos. Alright, goodbye everybody.